What's up guys, Stephen Jones here. What I want to do right now is just tell you my background story. It might not be that interesting. If you don't give a shit, just turn this off now. If you think you might care, then follow along. 4 years ago, I was in the Air Force. No, let's go before that. When I was in high school, I literally used to steal things from stores and resell them to people in my high school. That was a joke, but I was an entrepreneur. I was in DECA. I wanted to start my own business. I had no idea what that business was gonna be, but I knew that I had to do the smart thing in life, and that smart thing in life meant go to college. So I had a really good GPA. In my senior year, I was like, I hate everything about everything that I'm being taught. So what did I do? I dropped my GPA from a 3.4 to a 2.7 in 1 year, my senior year. It was insane. I didn't even get a walk at high school. I got to graduate, but I didn't even get a walk. So following that, I knew that I wanted to do something that would make people proud and make myself proud, honestly. I did it for myself, but what I decided I wanted to do was be a pilot. So I knew that I didn't have money for college, so I joined the Air Force. Now, when you join the Air Force, I went into the reserves. My father is Air Force Reserves, fully retired, Master Sergeant. So I grew up, he worked for Alaska Air, like I grew up around airplanes. I loved airplanes, I still love airplanes. I love the science behind it, but airplanes seemed like, yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll just go into the aviation field. So I joined the Air Force with all intensive purposes of getting the GI Bill. And what I was gonna do is I was gonna use that GI Bill to go to pilot school. Now, when I joined the Air Force, like, you want a good job. And in the reserves, you get to pick a job. So I said, I wanna be a loadmaster. So what happened? I interviewed with a flying squadron, the 97th Airlift Squadron out of McCord Air Force Base. And they looked at my job history, 12 jobs when I was 18. I literally had one job for every month of my 18th year, which is insane. Every time I got a different job, I moved up, I got a better job, better paying job. But here's the reality. I was getting so bored with every single job. Like, nothing could keep me grounded. So I was always looking for something bigger, better, to do with my time, to feel more fulfilled, to be able to buy whatever I wanted to. The reality was I couldn't get that loadmaster job. They denied me, so I still joined the Air Force. I joined as an aerial porter, which means I was the grunt on the ground, managing warehouses. Not even, like, I had just joined the Air Force. Like, I was loading and unloading airplanes, and it sucked. Like, I hated it. But it got me the GI Bill. So once I got into that job, got done with all my training, was just doing my weekends, 1 weekend a month, what I did is I went to pilot school. So there's a little school, community college, that has one of the best pilot programs in the nation. So I joined that school, and I went to school there for 1 year. I remember when I was about 2/3 of the way through, my father bought me a book by Captain Soley. Captain Soley is the guy who took off out of Newark or wherever he was, over in New York. The geese hit the engines, the airplane couldn't fly anymore, they were just coasting, and he landed it in the Hudson River. Like, bonkers story. So I loved that book, but towards the end of the book, I remember he was talking to his wife, and he said, he was looking at his daughters who were teenagers, and they're walking in front of them, and he said, I don't know them. And it was that point, while I'm going through pilot school, that I decide I don't want to be a pilot. Like, I don't want to be gone all the time. So I quit. Like, I finished out that year. I got my private license. I didn't go back for instrument rating or commercial rating. Like, I quit school. It threw a huge goose in my engine and changed my whole outlook on, like, what my future was. I was going to be a pilot. Now I had to really think about it. So what I did is I did a deployment with my aerial port squadron, went over and was gone for 6 months. And when I got back, I talked to my commander and chief, and both of them, and I said, look, I just want to be a loadmaster. So they said, okay, you can go apply to be a loadmaster. I went and applied with that same squadron, and I said, look, I told you I was going to be a pilot. I finished pilot school, and I got hired. Like, I got hired, and then I left for another 6 months, and then another 6 months of active training after that, flying around the world. The funny thing is, though, I got bored. I hated it. There was bureaucracy. I went on a mission where I was like being tested, and I was right and the instructor was wrong, but he failed me. And then my squadron told me, yeah, you were right, but there's nothing we can do about it. And that was like my breaking point. That was a breaking point in life when I realized that even these high military people, they knew that what was happening was wrong, but they couldn't do anything about it. And I realized I was done. Like, clock me out, I'm done. So when I was flying a mission, I found a sewing machine online, and it was at Fort Lewis, and this is the sewing machine that I bought. It's a FAF 1245. I ended up getting it for like just under $1,200. So when I landed for my mission, I drove over, picked it up, and brought it to my buddy's shop in the back of like a clothing shop that wasn't really a clothing shop yet. And I was determined to teach myself to sew. So I got on YouTube and I taught myself everything I needed to know. I started buying materials. Canvas and leather is kind of how I started. Not kind of, it is how I started. I created a brand, and man, I was into it, like night and day, 18 hours a day. I'm still doing 18 hours, feels like it, 12 to 15 hours a day. I did a Kickstarter, I raised a lot of money. And what happened was I ended up not being able to deliver based on the money that I got because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So after that, I had all this money in my bank account. It's completely gone, and I haven't delivered. I need to deliver these projects to my Kickstarter backers. So I hit up a guy named Jeff Sheldon who runs Ugmonk in Pennsylvania. Super rad guy. Got connected to him via Cubby Graham. I jumped on a call with him and I said, yo, how do you sell stuff? Because like, I need this to work. Like, this is my passion. This is my future. How do you do it? And he said, I don't know, Steve, but do you want to make wallets for us? And I said, sure, why not? So that brought me from like buying a sewing machine, creating a brand, building a brand awareness, getting funding through Kickstarter, to completely shitting the bed. And now I had this guy who wanted me to make wallets just to make a couple extra bucks so I could keep working on these Kickstarter projects, so that I could deliver them and not be an asshole. So I started doing that, brought in money, and then I started working with Charity Water and some other companies that were hiring me out to produce product for them. So really at that point, a year and a half, 2 years into the game, a year into the game, like, I became a manufacturer. Through that process, I realized that like these products have to be designed, and I was doing it 100% free for my clients, thinking, oh, I'll make money on the back end in manufacturing. So I started designing more, and I hired people to start making things that I was being hired to do. So that's when we became a full-fledged design and manufacturing company. Come to today, 100% of my time is spent designing products for clients. It's a blast. I love it. I wouldn't trade any of it for the world. I spend so much time just consuming product on sewing machines, just loving what I do. So here's the moral of the story. School's great, military's great, working for someone else is great if you're built for it. The reality is, I'm not. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a product guy. Like, I have to be doing this. Otherwise, I would go absolutely insane. So if you're like me and you're doing something you're not passionate about, I urge you to stop, pick up your phone, do whatever it is. I picked up a sewing machine. and I just taught myself how to sew. And now I have this massive shop where all I get to do, all I have to do, all I love to do is make things all day, every day, and I love my life in what I do. So I hope that I can edify somebody through this video. I was debating whether I should even do it, but I think it's important that I do. Thanks so much, and good luck on whatever the hell it is that you want to do.